Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Joni Misiak. Today, we're on episode 3 of a mini series that I've started called A Journey to Self-Love. So over the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about my own personal journey to self-love, and then the science. Last week was the science and the psychology of self-love. And this week, it's about practical self-love practices for every day. So I'm so excited because this is all hands-on. I've given you little things on each episode, but this one is the big one where it has lots of awesome practical stuff you can take with you after this episode. So self-love isn't just about affirmations. It's about daily habits and intentional choices. In this episode, I share simple and powerful self-love practices that you can add into your everyday life. So let's talk about the morning. Let's start with the morning rituals to start your day with self-love. And there are so many things. And before I begin and really give you, the lowdown on all the things I do and everything I've learned and this and that, I want to share this first tidbit of information that it took me quite a long time to figure out. And I think I've shared it before, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important. You got to do what feels right to you. I could share my morning routine with you, and if you want, I will. But the thing is, I had to tweak it and find what worked for me. And then what worked for me a couple years ago, or even years and years ago when my kids were babies, is different than today because our life is constantly changing and evolving. So if you're working right now, your morning ritual might look a little different. Or if you're retiring, it might look different because your mornings are different. And as your kids change in their life, like getting older and things like that, their needs are different. So it makes sense that your morning rituals will continue to kind of just change and take form to whatever else is happening in your life. Because I could sit here and say, this is what you can do in your morning. But we all have different mornings. We all have different needs. And what I've learned is I can't follow somebody else's perfect formula because it's perfect for them, but it might not be for me. I can take parts of it out, but it might not necessarily all work for me. I've read a lot of books, and some of the people I follow are men, and men have different, a lot of the time, not all the time, but men have usually a little bit of different responsibilities. So as a mom, in the back of my head, my kids are always there. Yes, I make decisions where I'm like, I am doing this for me. It's my me time. And I talk with my husband, but I still have that mother. I know that my kids are, need me at some point, right? It's in the back of my mind. Sometimes, the male role doesn't always have that. My husband is very hands-on, so I can't say all men are give the responsibilities to the women, because my husband takes a lot of the responsibility. I feel like we have even maybe he does a little bit more. I do the emotional stuff and he does the driving around, the chauffeuring and a couple other things. But I do the planning. We play to our strengths. So anyways, so all I'm saying is, before I share anything, is remember to try things. And if it doesn't work, it didn't mean that you failed. It meant that you need to just make a little change, or maybe just try something different. Okay? Because I've been on my own thing, and oh my goodness, I'd be like, I can't do this. I tried the 5 a.m. club and I beat myself up. I felt so crappy because I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And then I realized I was going against a lot of my own personal things. My mindset, for one, though. We have to change our mindset for things, or also understand our own personal needs and when we thrive. Just because somebody does better in the morning at 5 a.m. doesn't mean that everybody will. So it's just finding your groove. There's nothing wrong with the 5 a.m. wake up call if that is what works for you. So again, it's just finding what works for you, playing around with it, finding what feels good, and then also start small. It doesn't all have to happen overnight. Now, if you have this idea of a morning ritual, maybe you don't, and that's okay too. But if you have an idea, what I've done in the past is I write it out. What is my big idea? What would my perfect morning look like to me? And then I take the first part of that and I practice that first. And as it gets better and like I show up more regular than not, then I continue going. But I used to have it where I'm an all or nothing kind of girl most of the time, where I'm like, I'm just going to do it all right now. And I have to kind of remind myself to take it slow, take it one step at a time. And I would be like, I'm going to do it all right now. My morning ritual, like this is what it looks like. This is what it's going to be. And then either I would get overwhelmed because I was trying to do it all at once, all and go, and like instead of going from one little new habit, I was trying to incorporate lots and lots of new habits. And also, I not even want to get out of bed because I'm like dreading my morning ritual. A morning ritual, in my opinion, should give you the feelies, like the good, like, I'm excited about my day, instead of, oh my God, I got to do all these things, right? But again, it starts with mindset, right? So I never worked out, and I shared this with, I believe, in the first episode of the series, where I worked out. I used to work out for weight loss, and now I work out because I want to feel good. It's for mental health. So now I don't look at yoga as this thing, or even my strength training or my cardio as this thing I have to do to torture my body to look good. It's this thing I'm doing to make sure I start my day centered, focused, and just help my mindset, because my emotions can get off the charts around my period and things. So I have to I try to do prevention instead of like patch things up. So I think about like, what do I need to stay well? My mental well-being, my physical well-being, and just my overall well-being. And that's what I did. But again, it can be for anything. So morning rituals. It could be as simple as saying those affirmations we talked about in the mirror while brushing your teeth. When I first started, when I was, depressed after the breakup and things like that I shared about in the first episode of this series, I would just stare in the mirror. Well, not stare, but I'd be brushing my teeth, washing my face in the morning before work. And I would just say things I'm grateful for. And back then, it didn't feel like I had a lot. It was just I focused on that I could see, that I could hear, that I could walk, that I had 2 arms, that I had a roof over my head, that I had a grandma that allowed me to stay with her, that I had a job to pay the bills. And then it just kept growing. And that gratitude practice really did skyrocket myself into a better feeling, and just kind of launch it into a better outlook. And I don't even remember what happened after. I must have just stopped. And then I used to go to bed being grateful. Like I just list off all the things and fall asleep listing all the things I was grateful for. And that was a beautiful way. So anyways, your morning ritual can look like, again, many things. It can be little self-care practices. It could be putting on like a mud mask or a face mask, or, any of those things that felt right in the morning. I know when my kids were young, though, that was my evening activity. Now I do most of my things in the morning. So at night I can just unwind in different ways. And then other things can be yoga or movement, reading inspirational books or motivational books. I have one by Wayne Dyer. I believe it's called Meditations for Daily Life by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It's broken down into 365 days. So I read one every day of the year. And it's just a really great way. I incorporate it into my yoga practice. So here is my morning ritual. And again, you don't have to follow it. I just want to share it real quick and take with what you want or like maybe you'll like listen and feel your body too if I say something and maybe something you cringe or whatever. Take that as a learning thing too of which direction you want to go. But okay, so I wake up. My morning routine has been pretty simple these days, just because I'm getting back after spending time really healing my body and I had no energy and stuff. So And if you need to know more about what happened in the past couple of years, there'll be an episode before this. Anyways, like many episodes, I'm sure, where I shared about, candida, overgrowth in the gut. Anyways, so I get up and first things first, I get dressed. I do all my hygiene things for my teeth and my mouth and stuff, and I wash my face. And then I roll out my mat. And that is the first thing I do is my yoga practice. And it might look different like on different days, like depending on how I'm feeling. I might do a longer practice one day, a shorter one. I do have a schedule that I do sit down the week before and have and lay it out and plan, but that doesn't necessarily mean I stick to it depending on how I'm feeling. So I do my yoga practice. I end my yoga practice with a meditation and a reading from the book I was talking about of Dr. Wayne Dyer's, like where I just open it to, I keep a bookmark and I open it to the day of that we're on. And then I go into my workout. So either strength training, that's half an hour, or cardio that goes anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour, and alternating days and things like that. And then I always make sure when I come downstairs, before I drink my coffee in the morning, I have a big glass of water. And I actually make it warm water. So I fill up a glass. First I take my vitamins, and then I put a little bit of warm water in it. So it's warm water with lemon slices, and I drink that in the morning. And that's how I start my day. And then I have a coffee. And it's like having that first morning coffee. And I try not to do too much when I'm enjoying coffee, that it's not this thing I'm drinking to stay awake or anything. It's this beautiful thing that I like to drink. Because there's been many years when my kids were young where I drank coffee after coffee after coffee after coffee just because. And now to me, it's just this thing I like to enjoy in the morning. And that's about it. So my morning routine, like I said, it took me a while to get there. So what I did first was my yoga practice. And now I've made it non-negotiable. So I don't care how I feel in the morning. I have to unroll my mat. I've made a decision to just unroll my mat and show up there. It could be doing a couple cat-cows, just being in downward facing dog for a little bit, doing some sun salutations, whatever I need, like wherever I can meet myself that day. I do have an actual practice because I do practice Ashtanga yoga. So there is the primary series that I do a lot, or a practical 12. So I do have some things I go to normally, but if I'm not feeling good, it's like still show up on the mat, meditate for at least 5 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes is an amazing window for meditating. So it's just starting small. So that's what I did first. And when I finally could show up continuously on my mat, or very close to being, every day, that's when I added strength training in. And then once I got good at showing up to that too, then I added in my cardio. So I do strength training because I want to feel stronger. It makes me feel really good, and it helps boost my metabolism, and it helps me just overall mental well-being. And then cardio for my heart, knowing that I'm giving my heart some love and things like that. So it's just knowing why you're doing a morning ritual, or like those things in your morning ritual. It's really good to know why you're doing it. What do you want to do it for? Yoga, oh my goodness, there's so much good stuff to yoga, and I've said it before, so I'm not going to go too much into that, but it does include all the things, mind, body, soul. I have some really amazing creative ideas that come out of my yoga practices. So it's just really incredible. So it's just those things. So doing things. So like I said, reading a book. You could read a book while having coffee, listening to a podcast episode, anything and anything that brings you joy. Now, the only thing I don't recommend in your morning ritual is watching the news, reading news feeds, and I've been guilty of this one myself, okay? So I'm coming from a place and I have done it. And when you do it, it's not about beating yourself up. It's like, oh, right. Feel how you feel when you're doing these activities that maybe not be so, they might bring in some negativity. And then just be like, right, this isn't what my morning ritual's for. Morning rituals should start your day in a positive place and really just set you up for a really good day, right? And it's something to connect with yourself. You're not going to connect with yourself when you're reading the news, when you're scrolling on social media, or when you're binge watching TV. I have done that too. And when you have a day where you really just don't want to show up, by all means, but when you want to start your day with a good, solid morning ritual, those things aren't really in there. It's things that bring you joy, things that bring you closer to yourself and to help you create a deeper, loving relationship with yourself. So there is many: yoga, movement, anything like that. Like, so walking meditations, getting out in nature, even walking your dog, any of those things. Like I said, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching inspiring videos, saying affirmations, like I said, any form of movement, inside or out. Even having a bath, if that's how you want to start your day. I have this weird thing where I don't really like getting wet in the morning because I shower at night. So I'm a person that likes to shower at night. But anyways, I'm just like, no, it's just not me. But it might be something you like. So if that's what you'd like to do for yourself, or maybe you don't have time in the morning for very long ones because of work, and that's okay too. So it's finding out. So even when you start planning out your morning ritual, you could write down your ideal ritual if you want. But it's also looking at how much time do you have for a morning ritual? Because here's the thing. I don't personally believe in waking up earlier and earlier just to do more in the day. If you can't get to bed earlier so you can wake up earlier, don't do it. Please. Because sleep is so important too. This was one of the biggest missing components of my life for decades. I didn't think it was important. I used to say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. That's what I said in my 20s. And then I had kids. And then I didn't sleep a lot. And now I'm like, no, sleep makes, like, it helps our bodies function properly, our minds function, and it helps our bodies heal and change. Like, it's so good for our bodies to give it sleep. Now, that doesn't mean we give it like 24 hours of sleep at a time. It means, I think studies are out between 8 and I think 9, or is it 10? Something like that. It keeps moving those numbers. I personally find that I feel the best at 9 hours of sleep. But some people, it's 7 to 10, I think, or something like that, or 9. Anyways, some people benefit from just 7 hours. But like I said, I feel really good at 9. And then some people might need 8. Like, so again, it's finding what feels right to you. And then figuring out if you can wake up earlier, awesome if you're getting enough sleep. But please don't sacrifice sleep for a morning ritual. It's figuring out how much time you have. Maybe it's only 10 minutes. Maybe that's when you say affirmations in the morning, or be grateful, have a gratitude practice when you're brushing your teeth. Pretty sure we all brush our teeth, right? We do all those things in the morning in the bathroom. It's finding ways to incorporate little self-love moments in our morning routines. And you can even tie it to something you do, like brushing your teeth, because you're doing it anyways. And then it's just adding a little bit of a thing with what you already do. I'm not a big fan of multitasking, but this is where multitasking could really work in people's favor, is when you're saying affirmations, because instead of thinking about your day and all the crap that has to happen, or your to-do list, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, or oh my goodness, like, just constantly thinking, you could be saying positive affirmations to yourself, or even just being grateful for your day. And that has a much better feeling, I think, personally. I can't speak for you, but it feels personally better to me thinking positive thoughts than being overwhelmed first thing in the morning. So just think about that. Start small. And really, if you're lost with morning rituals, you can just even Google. There's so much stuff out there. Like, search things of morning rituals. And again, take what feels good to you and leave the rest. Or try something. If it doesn't work, that's okay. It's like, that's not for me. But don't give up too soon either. Try something. Give it some effort before saying no, because We can like give up before just because we're like, oh, whatever, it's not for me. But give it some like good effort before throwing in the towel for it, and then just try something that but know that you don't need to fit into a mold. You're your own person and you need to find what feels good to you. So I hope that helps with your morning rituals. And I know that was a lot. And I apologize. It went longer. This section went a little longer than I anticipated. But how we start our day really sets the foundation for the rest of our day. Now, that doesn't mean that if you forget to do something in the morning or you're kind of grumpy and, that doesn't mean you can't turn it around. It just means that when you start with a really solid morning ritual, it does set everything else, like kind of just lets everything else allow to flow a little bit better. That's all. Okay. So let's go to setting boundaries and why saying no is an act of self-care. This one took me forever to understand, but setting boundaries is so important. And the thing is, you don't have to go to this person and say, I need to set this boundary with you. You just say, please, could you do this instead of this, right? The one I always use as an example is, somebody just pops over without phoning first, and that's something that bothers you. Then you say, could you please call beforehand? Because I really would like a heads up first. Like, it's about setting a boundary with your space and your time and your energy. So again, you're the only one that needs to use the word boundaries. And it's just having a conversation with people in your life. It's like, could you please, call first? Because so remember saying I, because it's about you. Don't make it about them. Right? And then it's like, I've had it in my life where people don't listen to boundaries and people are really not willing to change. And then that's a whole different conversation for now. But let's just work on even starting to say no or setting boundaries. So it's even learning to so somebody asks you to do something. Maybe you already have plans, or maybe you already, have other things on the go, or you really just don't want to do it. It's okay to say no. It really is. And it's just understanding that you're allowed to say no to something that doesn't bring you joy or that doesn't work in your day or your schedule. And it can be hard, but it's knowing that you already had a plan. Like, say you had the day off for yourself and you plan on having a me party. I love that. Having a me party. Anyway, and then somebody's like, oh, do you want to go out for lunch? And now, sometimes that might be great because maybe you need some social outings with a girlfriend or something. And that's okay. But if you're like, you need to do a check-in and be like, what do I really want? And this is where when you build a deeper relationship with yourself, like a loving relationship with yourself, you'll know what your needs are and what your values are. And then you can act on those. So just knowing that when you get to know yourself better, saying no will be easier, or even saying yes to things that bring you joy too, right? But when we keep saying yes, 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 yes to everyone else in our life, we don't have any more energy or room left to say yes to us. So it's just keeping that in mind that saying no to things is literally self-care. You're taking care of yourself. That doesn't mean you have to say no to everything. It just means pausing for a second and really checking in with yourself before you commit to something. And I want to go with one more thing about setting boundaries, because this is something that I've been figuring out myself, is I've had to learn to set boundaries with myself too. I work at home. My kids come and go and things like that after school. And I had to set boundaries with my own personal time, my work, and then my family. So I had to find my me time, my family time, my business time, and I had to set different boundaries. So if you're having a hard time setting boundaries with others, start with yourself. Look at your own little bubble, your own being, and figure out where you can start setting boundaries with yourself. Like maybe you won't go on social media after a certain time at night, or maybe you only spend a certain amount of time on it. I use apps that tell me to, it goes black and white on my phone. So it goes out about an hour and a half before I go to bed. and it doesn't come back on until later. And then I have focus mode on all day long while I'm working. And it's just having these little things where I'm not going in all different areas because I get overwhelmed. And even when my husband's like sharing about all these things, I'm like, whoa. Or he'll ask me questions when I'm in the middle of something else, or he'll be wanting me to do something else. I'm like, whoa, I'm in this moment here. Can we pause and just wait until I get to that moment? Like, just slow it down. I don't like multitasking anymore. I really don't. It overwhelms me and exhausts me. So I'm very mindful of when I'm doing more than one thing because it doesn't feel good. And it's just knowing those things. We all multitask, I feel. And I used to do it all the time. But now I'm like, no, it's a non-negotiable for me. Non-negotiable multitasking. And if I do find myself looking at my phone while watching TV, then I have to ask myself, am I watching the right TV show tonight? Or am I getting distracted? Like, where's my mind at? So it's just setting boundaries with yourself and understanding what your needs are and your wants are. And then you can start creating boundaries with other people in your life. I hope that really helps with boundary setting because it can be challenging. And remember, it's not about them. It's not about offending the other person you're setting that boundary with. It's about protecting your energy, your time, your being. It's a self-love thing. When you love yourself, you'll know, wait a second, somebody's crossing into my bubble. My kids have it, like, especially my youngest, my son, likes to like hang into my bubble a lot. And I'm like, and a lot of the time, like, I'll cuddle and snuggle and all these, but sometimes he'll be, doing things in my bubble. And I'm like, hey, dude, get my bubbles up. Can I just have a little bit of space today? Just a little bit of bubble. And then, like, just for this moment, because he would be acting, I don't know, jumping all over me, hanging off my neck, something. And I'm just like, okay, can we respect the bubble for a few minutes, please? And just give me a second to, find where I'm at. So it's just having those moments and saying it with love. That's the other thing about setting boundaries, is doing it from a place of love. So try not to set boundaries when you're upset and frustrated. I've been there, done that, learn from it. So it's doing it from a loving place. And it's understanding what boundaries you even want to set in the first place. So when you're mad, take a deep breath, maybe take a moment and come back to that situation or that person later, or even to yourself, and address those things later when you're at a better place to talk about them. Okay. So let's talk about the power of mirror work and self-affirmations. So we've already talked a little bit of affirmations, but when you add mirror work in, it is so beautiful because you are looking yourself in the eye. Now, this can feel crappy at first, like a lot. And because I've been there, and it doesn't feel good sometimes to look you in the eye. But like I said, you're your best friend. One of the biggest people that have done this is Louise Hay. This is really where it came about, was through mirror work. That was one of her big things, was working with affirmations in the mirror and saying them. So even those affirmations we talked about the other episode, you could start saying in the mirror. I did say have them in the bathroom and stuff. So look yourself in the eye and start saying, I love you. I really, really love you. And if that is too much, it's like, I like you. I really, really like you. And start off small. You don't have to take big, ginormous steps. You can take it one step at a time. You could even just start with looking yourself in the eye. Maybe it's been a while. Give yourself a hug. Just take baby steps and you've got this. So just incorporating the mirror can be really, really powerful on your self-love journey. And then one more thing. How to practice self-love even on your hardest days. So I have learned some major things around this one lately. When I wasn't feeling well, my energy was low, and even I have days where I still don't feel like myself, or where I have to work really hard to feel like myself. And it's about listening to your body, listening to where you are, and meeting yourself where you are in this moment. You don't have to do big, major things every day to have a loving relationship. You could even just look at yourself as like your own child or a friend. And if your friend was having a bad day or not feeling themselves or just going through whatever you're going through on your hard day, ask yourself, how would I treat my friend? What would I say to my friend? Or how would I treat my child? And what would I say to my child when they're having a hard day like this? Get grounded in that feeling, and then take that feeling and those feel like everything that comes up there and those feelings and apply it to you. So if somebody is having a really bad day, maybe they've lost their job or a breakup, or they're just overwhelmed by so much life things happening. Instead of charging forward with your morning ritual or whatever to-dos you had on the day or whatever you thought you needed to do for self-love that day, take a step back and be like, what do I need in this moment? Because this moment's different than every day, right? We have good days. We have bad days. We have things in between. Morning rituals are great on a normal day, but maybe you wake up not feeling good and you pull the covers over your head. I've done that, going, nope, not today. I'm recording this after the time change, and oh my goodness, I didn't think I was going to. Thankfully, my passion for helping others was so much stronger than my tiredness today. But we all go through moments where, life isn't just feeling good, but I put my blanket over my head and going, nope. And then I would go back to bed for a couple hours, set my alarm, and start again. Sometimes you just have to love yourself where you are. And I know that can be challenging, but it's taking yourself out of your own position. Like don't think about it as me or my life. Think about it from a point of, how can I help myself? Like as in your best friend or your child, right? Like I hope that makes sense. Somebody like treating yourself like you would your best friend or your child, and seeing what you would do in their shoes, like if they came to you on a bad day. And again, just realizing that you don't have to show up every day the same. You don't have to show up like you're a different person every day depending on what's going on in your life. And it's okay. So it's giving yourself, this room to be okay with where you are on any given day. And it first starts with mindset. Be like, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have challenges and maybe not being able to show up as awesome as you normally do. It's okay to also cancel plans if you're not feeling good. Mentally, physically, emotionally, it is okay to pivot when things are going sideways or don't feel right or good. So just knowing that and taking it one step at a time, loving yourself. And it's having little rituals that you have when you're not having a good day. One of my biggest lean-ons, like that I go to when I'm not having a great day, is music. Music and Hallmark movies. So sometimes, I said earlier about not watching TV in the morning as a morning ritual. As a practice though, and if you know what you're doing, I like to watch TV with purpose or intention, right? So I'll watch something to learn something, or I'll intentionally watch it for a reason. So in the evenings, I love watching at least 1 to 2 TV shows or a movie that's about an hour and 20 minutes, like a Hallmark movie, something light and fluffy, and then read in bed. The thing is, I watch TV because if I don't, I can't get out of my own brain. I'm constantly thinking, like, what am I going to be doing? I'm creating. I'm in like constant mode. And I've trained my brain that when I sit down in front of the TV, that's it for the night, that I'm unwinding. I also watch, like I said, Hallmark movies when I'm having a bad day or I'm not feeling good or I just need something different. And I do it with intention. So say I'm having like a really emotional day. I'm just not loving it, not feeling it. I'll put on like a Hallmark movie because it makes me feel good. Or another movie that is like a funny, like romantic comedy or something like that. And like light and fluffy. And I'll watch that going, I'm going to watch this so I'm not dwelling in my own sorrows, in my own sadness, so I can shift myself higher up. Sometimes when we're left with our own thoughts too long, we just keep going deeper and deeper into our dirty and dark, yucky thoughts, like not yucky, but like we keep spiraling deeper and deeper into our negative thoughts. So I sometimes do a shift by watching TV, and that's what I mean by intentionally. And heck, man, I've done binge watching days where I'm like, I'm just going to sit here today and watch TV. And that's what I'm like, I'm going to allow that myself. This is me making a conscious decision. I'm not feeling it today. I'm just going to sit here and watch TV, for a couple hours before the kids come home or whatever. But it's intentionally doing it, not just being, and it's not about doing it every single day, every single whatever, but it's like, I'm not feeling it today. And it's okay to love yourself in that moment, but it's knowing why you're doing it and then be like, okay, go back to what was bothering you and dealing with it from a different place. It's called raising your vibrations or moving yourself up the emotional scale. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a break from your emotions so you can come back to them a little bit more lovingly and stronger. I hope that makes sense. So love yourself where you are, no matter if you're having a good day, a bad day, or somewhere in between. Now, if you want to go deeper into self-love, I have a course called A Course in Self-Love, and it's building a deeper, loving relationship with yourself. It's broken into 8 sections. So I touch base on all these things so much deeper. And there's a private group, not with social media or anything like that. It's through my website. So you don't need a Facebook account or anything like that. You can just go straight to my website. And it's a private group that you can connect with other people going through the course. And there's activity sheets and meditations. And it's really there for you to help you create a deeper, loving relationship with yourself. And the really cool thing is it's self-paced. So you get to fit it into your life so you can have this beautiful journey into self-acceptance and have this beautiful transformation. And the link is over in the podcast description. And there's more details on the website there. So please go over and check it out if you want to dive even deeper into self-love. Now, next week, we are on the last episode of this series. And it is about overcoming self-doubt and embracing your worth. Because really, we all want to feel worthy. So it's about breaking free from limiting beliefs so you can feel so much more empowered and love yourself even more. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful for you. And I'm just so happy that you're on this self-love journey. So give yourself a hug, give yourself a high five, because regardless of what you're doing right now in your life, you're showing up. You listen to this episode. You are doing things for you. So if it might not feel like you're doing a lot, you're doing an insane amount right now. Just even listening to this and then taking those little action steps will even take you closer and closer to this beautiful relationship that's just waiting for you, aka that loving relationship with yourself. Please be your own best friend. It feels really good because then you always have somebody to talk to. That doesn't mean you can have best friends, other best friends, but when you're your own best friend, it feels really good. Trust me. Anyways, thanks again for being here. Take care and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye for now.